Hi everyone and welcome and thank you for watching. I'm just taking a walk today and I'm going to take you with me through my regular path, and that way you can see a bunch of things I'm going to show you. And one of those things is called a Saskatoon. Believe it or not, it's an actual berry that people pick off and they eat. There's some right here. These are called Saskatoons. They look like you can see it there, it looks like a blueberry but on a bigger scale bush. Saskatoons are better eaten when they're nice dark purple like this. It's a nice dark purple there. And then when you eat them, they're quite sweet. They're very, very sweet. It tastes exactly like a blueberry with a little bit more sugar in it. Depending on the sourness, obviously, if you eat a red one or a white one, obviously it's going to be sour as heck. And as you can see, they start off like this. So green guys. And eventually they sprout up to be that big purple thing that we just saw a minute ago. And if you're wondering why they're called Saskatoon berries, well, they originate from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, one of our provinces here in Canada. And they're quite delicious, actually. But how they got to Ontario, it's usually somebody cut a bush, brought it out here, planted it, thinking it was a good idea, not realizing that the Saskatoon berry is actually a very, very invasive species. Like blueberries, it will literally just crop an entire field just of itself. And it will affect the vegetation around. However, it will attract bears. And I love bears. I think bears are wonderful. They're great creatures. They travel a lot. They cover great distances. And they sleep the entire winter. So basically my spirit animal is right there. However, I'm more of I love the winter kind of guy. So maybe I'm not a bear. Do you know what your animal is? Look at your habits and then compare it to one of an animal and see what you have in common. Oh, this is just a nice simple walk, a nice day. Good day to relax. Good day to appreciate all the things that we have and all the things that we've lost and all the things that we miss and all the things that, but if you think about it in life, priorities are getting a little bit off. It should be people first, things second. But it seems like if you think about it, our society's not built that way. Because 95% of laws that are created are to protect people's things, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. That only 5% is to protect people. Makes no sense. Honestly, absolutely backwards. Should be people first, things second, and problems last. Deal with problems last. I mean, life is full of problems. That's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps us going. If we didn't have any problems, we wouldn't worry. We wouldn't stress out. We wouldn't move. We'd be incubating ourselves, basically, and just hiding out or becoming hermits. Today we're going to go to the beaver pond to see if we can see any beavers. I'm hoping we will, and maybe along the way we might catch a snake or snapping turtle. There's a bunch of those around here. And that's the other thing too. Northern Ontario never used to be known really for turtles, for snapping turtles specifically. It was known mostly for those little tiny turtles that live in little ponds. But lately, snapping turtles have been appearing a lot, and the reason being is that people buy them as pets and don't realize that they grow really big and they're very ornery, and they bite, and they jump, and they're very temperamental because they're never meant to be in an enclosed space. They're meant to travel a lot. Believe it or not, a snapping turtle will travel in the span of a year like over 10, 20 kilometers. It seems like not a lot, but imagine something the size of your foot crawling. So they keep moving. They never stand still. They never like to be in one area. If you're not sure what they look like, picture like a shell, right? Like a turtle shell, except that the outer edges of it, it's jagged. The reason why it's jagged, well, it's to protect itself from predators trying to bite it. So it cuts into the predator's mouth. Another notable difference between a snapping turtle and a tortoise, for example, is the tail. A snapping turtle's tail has like a little spike. It's not that long. And they use it and they use that tail to sense the ground behind them as they go, and also to gain their balance. Sometimes when they fall, they use the tail to grip. It's really quite interesting to watch. In one tumble, and tail caught a branch and held it up, and it was able to maneuver forward. And this is a beautiful bridge. Now, let me show you this. Every day I come here and I watch this. A river here, and that river crosses this bridge and continues forward. Sorry about the bridge lining here. Here we go. This is called the Vermilion River. It's a beautiful river. It really is long. And when we had the spring thaw, when the snow started melting, the river rose right up to, I'm not sure if you can see that bench down there. There's a little bench right there. Well, the water rose to about right here. And it took down the bench. The bench was thrown into the river almost and caught a tree and held up. And someone, when the river got down, managed to grab it and put it back. Now we're coming up to the first beaver pad. This is a smaller beaver area. They're tiny. I've seen them. There's about 2 of them here, maybe more. But from what I've seen 2, and they're usually small. And by small, I mean about 1.5 feet long, about maybe 5 inches in height. I'm talking like from the ground to the top of their head, or top of their back. And there's tons of frogs in this pond here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's the beaver house right there. There are multiple holes in that house because the beavers have been going in and out. And also they're being hunted by foxes. But foxes will leave a beaver alone because usually a beaver can defend itself pretty well. If you're wondering how they defend themselves, no, they don't use their teeth. They use their tail. They slap their tail and they swim. They're more of an evasive animal than they're a confronting animal. They don't take attacks very well. They just run. Now we're coming up to the first turn here. And this turn will lead us into the bush, into where wild nature lives. Now you might hear slapping sounds. It's because the mosquitoes here are the size of my finger. And I'm not wearing any of those sprays or anti-mosquito repellents or mosquito repellent stuff. I'm literally just going in as is. Sorry I've missed a few of my daily walks. It's just I've had a cold. No COVID. Tested negative twice for it. And every other day I check just to make sure. And so far nothing, just a cold. And by just a cold, I mean it's the congestion that sucks. If you ever get a cold and you cough your lungs out and you can't sleep because you're coughing, and then you take medicine that's supposed to be cough suppressant, but it's not really. It works for about 5 minutes and then it stops. I think it's because the mint goes down your throat and coats it, and then you're supposed to feel better, but it's not working. So if you hear me cough, you'll understand. These live shows, I do them daily. I try anyways. I'm going to be doing this consistently now, going forward. And eventually, when I get viewers or more viewers, you can start to direct me to whatever path you want me to take. There are multiple, so I know how to find my way out of the woods. Doesn't matter how far in I am, doesn't matter where I am. I've learned to orient myself. Find a cardinal point by using the sun. I know that my town from this point, or where I live, is directly north by northeast, and right now I'm traveling south. A lot of homeless people up here live out here. They camp out. There's a town nearby where they can get services if they need them, but they stay in the tents sometimes throughout the winter. I've seen one person do it, and then when we had minus 30 plus degrees weather and frost warnings and overnight freezing warnings, that one gentleman stayed there. So a lot of people got together and were able to give him a portable heater, and there was no electricity, so the heater was run using solar power. It wasn't very effective, so we quickly found out that was a piece of garbage. And what ended up working were emergency candles. So if you buy an emergency candle, it's designed to burn for at least 24 hours, even more. So I gave a few of that, was extremely happy because, believe it or not, the candle also is a deterrent for mosquitoes. So, and of course in the winter there's no mosquitoes, but it's good to have. Just good to have. So this is the trail. And every day a tree breaks for some reason. Like I know where all the trees are. Well, not all of the trees, but these tree markers. Sorry, I'm getting like these horse flies and deer flies. A deer fly is really, really harmful to a human. It takes a chunk of your skin off. It's almost like it's biting you, and it really does bite. You feel it. Oh, and it hurts. The good part about a deer fly, they don't leave any mucus or any kind of resin behind that comes out of their mouth, like the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes, that's why you always see that little dot, and then it's usually white and then red around the white. So it's very it's because when it inserts its stinger, before it does that, it coats the skin with a relaxant, believe it or not, to open up the pore so they can just poke in, grab the blood, and fly away. Problem is as they leave that mucus behind, and that mucus gets into your body and forms that little white bubble. Your body fights it off. It's nothing really major. A few of them, no problem. If you have them all over your body, though, get some anti-itch or after bite. Just kill the horsefly. A deer fly, actually. Thank God. Do I get bit a lot? I do get bit a lot. Is it worth it? Oh, yeah. My mental health has never been hasn't been much better than this. Just being surrounded by peaceful sounds and just relaxing, thinking about your day. It's the greatest. Hope you enjoy this walk. I'll try to take you all the way to the falls, depending on the rapids, whatever, where the water basically goes from wide to narrow and pours out. Again, apologize for the coughing, but I am struggling with the cold. But if best way to get rid of a cold is to sweat it out. So I'm going outside when it's hot. Today it's about 24 degrees Celsius. So it's very hot and it's humid here. That's why all the flies are buzzing around me. It's not like in Iqaluit or in Nunavut, where I've been watching videos of streamers that are showing how many mosquitoes there are. And this person in an ATV was surrounded by thousands and thousands of mosquitoes, maybe millions. You could hear the click, 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 click of the mosquitoes hitting the windshield of the ATV. It's just ridiculous. And apparently it's because down there, well, up there, I should say, Iqaluit is in northern Canada. It's on the Ellesmere Island, I believe. And it's cold all year long. It's snow all year long, right? Except for this time of year, there's a bit of a melt. So you're probably wondering, what do they live on up there? Well, mostly meats, right? Fish, meat. Can't really grow crops unless you had a hothouse. And even then, with a hothouse, it couldn't sustain the heat because it's always temperatures are always in minus 20s and above and lower. I mean, just lower. Okay, we're approaching the beaver pond. So this is the beaver pond area. You can see the marshy over there. Those are marshes. They're floating reeds. And if you hear a loud splash, that's a beaver slapping its tail, letting me know to get the hell out of here. But I'm nosy, so I'm gonna look. Now, if you go here, right here, you can't really see it today because believe it or not, the floating reeds, it's like little miniature islands of tall grass, which just kind of float around. And depending on the wind direction, they usually end up on one shore or another. And today they are on our side, not on the other side of the pond. As you can see, they're all right there. That's all reeds. And they are all islands, believe it or not. They're not connected. Some of them are, but they're all little chunks of islands. I'll show you why. You can see here the edge. There's another one here. and they just sort of collide together as the wind pushes them. Now, where we're going is where I'm trying to find an opening, and I have to be very quiet right now. I have to listen for beavers munching. It usually sounds like that. So I've got to look around. So I'm going to be quiet for the next few minutes, okay? All right, let's go take a look here. So this is, believe it or not, a dam. They've dammed up a pipe, a utility pipe that's right here. And that pipe drains into this part of the river, onto the river. But these beavers have decided to dam it up, not to lose the height of the water. They want to keep the water at a certain level. Whoops, I thought I heard something. It's a bird. You see that bird? Scared the bejeebers out of me. I think it's more excitement than scare at this point, because I'm excited. There's something, so I point the camera at it right away. Here we go. We're coming up to an opening finally. You'll be able to see the pond here, the beautiful pond, the beaver pond. If your dog or an animal goes into that pond and comes out, the smell is horrendous. It smells like raw sewage. It's just nasty. Well, maybe not raw sewage, but there's the pond. As you can see, it's pretty big. And you can see all the islands have been landing here, or reed islands. So the wind's been blowing, I would say mostly northeast. Here's a trail where the beaver comes out of the water right there. And he comes out and goes right there to that hole there. And he cross here, and there's another crossing here. And I can tell that there was a beaver here recently because it's wet. The ground is literally wet here, right here. So you can see the trail. I don't know if you can see that trail there, but, and there's the hole. Now I'm gonna be quiet because I can hear it gnawing. That's the trail we came down. It's kind of sad if I can't see a beaver today, but that's okay. It'll be another day. They usually come out around 6 o'clock. They go from one. The reason why they occupy two spaces, a pond and a river, the pond is fruitful in terms of sustenance. They like to eat they take the reeds out and they eat the bulb. It's like the root. And they just eat that, and you can hear it. And it's like eating an onion, basically, for them. So they go in the pond to eat, and also to get wood, lumber. And then they go over to the nice flowy river where they can drink the water, because that river is constantly flowing. If you ever in a situation where you have to drink water, you're dying of thirst, basically, my recommendation is to find a stream. Do not drink from still waters. Do not drink from a pond. The reason why is because a pond doesn't move and it accumulates bacteria. It just gathers it. It doesn't. Whereas a stream, well, it brushes up against rocks. And that brushing effect is sort of like a filter. That's why you'll see a lot of mossy rocks, or you'll see a lot of stuff like that. It's because the growths are happening due to the flow. I highly recommend that if you need to drink water from a stream where you can't boil it, where you cannot treat it so that, kill the bacteria in it, find a stream that is low enough to hit rocks, but fast enough to move. In other words, it's a big flow. If you drink that, be cautious, because, sometimes people's stomachs are different. Some can tolerate, some can't. If your stomach is one of those that can't tolerate, you're definitely going to have diarrhea. And that's not a good sign, because that'll dehydrate you even more. Other recommendations I would tell you, look on leaves. If there's been a recent rainfall, leaves accumulate water bubbles. Those you can drink. Again, make sure the leaf is not a dirty leaf. Make sure it's a nice clean leaf. All right, we're going to continue right on to the waterfalls. Right now it's quiet. I want you to enjoy this quiet now. And as you get closer to the waterfalls, you're gonna hear the water rushing. You won't be able to hear me. Oh, just heard a duck or a partridge. There are ducks and partridges that live in the woods here. If you're wondering what a partridge is, you can look it up. You can Google it. Usually brown. It's like a small chicken. They do walk like chickens, except they fly. They can fly. And they're not very bright animals. I mean, if you're a hunter hunting a partridge, you can walk up to it, pet it, and then take it home. Some partridges are skittish, like especially the ones around here, because there's a lot of predators out here. It's a nice opening here. People come and fish here. They usually sit on a rock and just fish. There's bass in this. There's also, I've seen some trout, smelt, typical fish. I'm looking on the ground because I'm looking for snakes. Typical snakes out here are called garter snakes. They're usually they can go as far as 1 meter long, I believe. They're black with a yellow stripe or a white stripe. They usually bunch up close to where there's water or where it's cool and where they're also exposed to the sun. Reason being is they're a cold-blooded animal and they love the heat. Puts them to sleep. So an active snake is mostly in a dark, cool area, wet, moist, and that's where they hunt. And I don't know I'll try to see if I can find a fern so I can show you where they hide. Because there are branches, grass, stuff like that that's usually about a foot high, 1.5 feet high. I'm using both units of measurement, by the way, because in Canada we use both. We use the imperial system and we also use the metric system. We use the metric system for most builds, but for some reason we stick to the imperial when we buy furniture. Why? Because most of it comes from the US. The US is the imperial system. Canadians are quite adaptive. So, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's a hole right there. This is at nighttime, believe it or not. If I were here, this is where a bear comes to sleep, except we were told to avoid this area at nighttime because, well, the bear. And bears aren't the type of animals you can walk up to and pat. No. They usually are territorial, and they will scare you off their territory or attack you or maul you. They don't like the taste of humans. They don't want to eat us. They just want us not to eat their berries or eat their fish, so they'll get us out of here. To them, we're a threat to their food. Because if we take their food, ooh, that's going to make them very angry. Oh, look at that. There's a beautiful, you see, guys? This beautiful bug. I've never seen anything quite like this, honestly. It's a yellow bug. If you know what it is, please let me know. It has a furry butt. I don't know if you can see that, but it has a furry butt. And it has paws. It's cute as heck. I don't know. I'm going to back up there. See that? And it's looking at me like, what are you doing? Looks like a beetle. It's actually gorgeous. So what do we get out of this walk? Well, beautiful scenery, good mental health, and bugs today. A bug and a flower and waterfalls. There's so many dragonflies flying around me right now, and I love them because they eat bugs. the ones that bite us. All right, you're going to lose the sound of my voice to the sound of the rapids. Please enjoy. You hear that? Here it comes. Oh, don't you just love that sound? All right, it's time to go back just because I'm sweating profusely right now. It's just coming out of everywhere and I'm dying of heat. But I did promise I'd do this, so here we go. I'm supposed to do it every day at 3 and 6, but I think I'm going to switch that to once a day at 3 or maybe at 6 so we can see some beavers. The reason why I like 3 o'clock, it's because there's not as many mosquitoes as at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock when the sun starts to go west more and unshaded areas become shaded, then mosquitoes like to come out. They don't like to come out in the hot sun. They love moist environments. They love dark areas. They love you. They love people. You're their blood supply. Still remember when they had the West Nile scare, and people were worried about the virus and all that. It didn't really hit us here. I think it's because the people that go out here usually spray themselves with all sorts of mosquito repellent stuff. If you look at the woods here, there's a path here once where I saw a deer. I ran as soon as it saw me. A deer will run at the sight of a human or at the sight of anything, and also at the smell of it. Here's a tracking tip for anybody. Look for droppings. Make sure that when you are walking, the wind is blowing away from you, not towards the direction you're going, because any animal downwind will smell you and they'll know you're coming, so they'll move away. So if the wind is blowing south, travel north. You'll have to adjust because the wind changes. Sorry, I just got bit by a deer fly. That hurt. I'm going to show you what it looks like if I can find where it bit me. Oh, it didn't take your chunk. That's good. That's really good. I think it's psychosomatic sometimes. Maybe it's just a regular fly, but it felt like a deer fly. If you ever go on one of these walks, I highly recommend that you bring no music, no electronics, no nothing. Don't think either. Try not to think. That should be your mission. Just look at the beautiful nature. Listen to the sound surrounding you. Just become a part of this. Take a moment, sit down. Don't bring your lunch because you'll attract flies, mosquitoes, everything. Bring some water. Anything sweet, like pop cans or anything of that kind, is terrible. Anything with sugar will attract bees, mosquitoes, deer fly, horse flies, everything. What I recommend is eat before you go out. Set a time that you're going to go out for and just accomplish that and then go back home. If you want a picnic, go find a park somewhere where it's wide open. Because a picnic in the woods is no picnic at all. Honestly, it looks glorious. It looks amazing when you watch it in movies and stuff like that. It looks absolutely great. But when it's the practicality of it, it sucks. No, it's not the ants. That's the problem. It's all the other bugs. Sorry, I just got to put my flap on because, well, the bugs are getting fierce. There we go. I have a back flap on this hat just because it protects the back of my neck, because that's a very sensitive spot and you can't really see it, so you can't really protect it like your front. And yes, I am battling mosquitoes and deer fly right now. One, I'm pretty sure just bit my leg. My legs are strong. I can take it. My soft spots are under my arms and the back of my neck. But since I've got that covered, we're good to go. Keep my arms down, we'll be good. That's another thing too. You learn to adapt. You learn to get stronger. I'm not at the stage, I'm not ready to go barefoot yet in the forest. I will be soon. Why is that so important? Why is that so great? Well, they say if you can survive in the woods bare feet, it's because you're in tune with the nature. You're ready to go. You're ready to survive. Remember my survival tips from the last video? Number one, cardinal direction. Find out where you are, what direction you're pointing. And try to remember what direction you've been traveling most time. Was the sun to your right or to your left? If it was to your right, well, eventually it's going to go to your left because the sun sets. So keep an eye on it and go in the opposite direction. Number two, make sure, assess yourself, see what you've got, lay everything out. Take out whatever you got in your pockets, whatever you got in your bag. Take a look at it, see what you've got. Maybe you have a communication device, maybe you have a phone. Doesn't have a signal, just go higher grounds. Find a hill, find a mountain, find something. Or walk in a direction that's opposite, contrary to what you were doing. But more importantly, it's more situational. Every phone now is equipped with a GPS that can show you your location at any time. So you can lose that. I would. I use it all the time. So, hope you're enjoying this lovely walk. Because soon we will be back at the beaver pond. I'll end the stream in about 8 minutes or so, maybe 40, 45 minutes. Because I don't think we're going to see any beavers today. But hopefully we can see one. Sorry, I'm pointing camera at the pond right now, because that's usually where they live. That's where they spend their whole days. It's not where they live, it's where they spend the days. Where they live is on this side. There's two sides to the trail. Living side and the swimming and eating side. Sorry, I've got a horsefly that's just coming right into my glasses. Oh, there he is, right on my phone. It's a beautiful one. It's a biter. It's trying to bite my phone. That's hilarious. I wish I could show it to you, but it's literally on the face of it. Give it a flick. There you go. Flick my phone. Maybe damage my phone while I do that. Now it's coming after me. Maybe that was a bad idea. So here's the pond, right? There's usually a beaver that comes out of right that area right there. And he swims around. But not today. Wonder why. They know I'm here? Do they smell me? They hear my voice? Maybe I should be quiet. Let's be quiet. I'll stay here for a few minutes. See the island there floating? Right there. The island is now floating with the wind. Take a look at this branch. Here's a point of reference. See how it's floating? It's moving away. This is great. So the wind is going west. And look, even this one here is just moving. It's kind of, it looks like something you can climb on and paddle like a boat. But I assure you, the minute you put your foot on it, the minute you step on it, you can go right to the bottom. Because it's only supported by its roots. It's almost like water roots. Look at this one, little island there. It's floaty. It's a beautiful sight. It looks like something's driving this. But it's the wind. I'll keep it on this one for a little bit so you can see the progress. And you can see it's all breaking off. And that's great because now it's going to open up. So we'll be able to see one of the beaver homes. A lot of people think that beavers live in dams. They don't. They dammed areas to keep the water levels up. They actually live in, they built makeshift huts that they make, sort of, with like sticks, branches, mud. The mud is used to really seal it, to make waterproof it, basically. Look at that. Look at all these islands moving. It's almost in unison. But they will travel from here all the way up there. Basically here, all the way there. Beautiful day, isn't it? Oh, good day. It's a good day to be on YouTube. I'm coming over here just to give you an idea of how well this is moving. Give you a point of reference here with the tree. I'm not moving. These islands are moving on their own. Now, if I was a beaver, I'd probably go on one of those islands, lay down, and just go for a ride. It's almost like sunbathing. Now, you're just probably wondering what these are, these berries. They're terrible. They will give you heartburn for life. They're not good for you. Boysenberries are actually poisonous. They're toxic. They're not good for your system. They have like a, if you break one open, it's white, it's chalky. I've tasted one just to see what it tastes and I spat it back out. Oh, what do we have here? What's happening these days to these poor dragonflies? As you can see, there's one here. Oh, they die in the sun. Imagine that. You have no idea that death exists. And as you're flying on the sun, boom, it hits you. What kind of life would that be? Imagine that you didn't know that you died. What would make that, what would that change? How would that change you? And how would it change your mentality? Because if you think about it, if you don't know you're going to die, you take more risks. You take less risks. Because remember, it doesn't mean that you don't understand hurt. You don't understand pain. You do understand pain. So there's a fear, an inherent fear right there of pain. But death, imagine if you don't know. There's a poet, I can't remember the name, but I just remember the line. And it was actually in G.I. Jane in the movie. It's when he reads, it says, something like a seagull will fall dead from the edge of a boat without knowing that it died, or that without knowing what death is. I think the idea behind that was he was telling soldiers that you're already dead, you just don't know it. So go out there and perform well, do your duty. Once you can get past that fear of death, you'll be fine. And that's what makes people do that, that double take. Should I do it? Should I not do it? For you, as those of you who drive, you ever have those moments where you get to a red light, there's absolutely no traffic, you can see for miles that there are no police officers. How tempted are you to just go ahead, right? And that's where the fear of death comes in. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I'd do it, no problem. Really? It's not really no problem, because as you go, you feel aware. Your sense of awareness goes right up the roof. Start looking around. Oh, I'm glad you came on for this walk. I mean, nobody came on today, but that's okay. I'm going to keep doing this. It's good for my mental health, and I hope it's good for yours. And there's also a lot of lily pads around here. I wish I could show them to you. All I've got is a side view of it. Not sure where you live or what part of the world you're in, but I hope you do take time to go out and just have a mental break. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe here. I don't know if you can see. Oh, as far as back there. You can see white flowers on these lily pads. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. There are so many frogs here. There are bullfrogs. There are regular frogs. your everyday typical frog, you know. Your unspeakables. Yeah, you should go watch him. He's hilarious. Has his own channel. It's Unspeakable 2.0, and Unspeakable Gaming, I think. I'm not even sure. But just stick to the unspeakable. It's hilarious. Makes me laugh. All right, so it is 40 minutes into the stream, into this live. So we'll end it at 45 minutes, just so I can go home and prepare lunch or dinner, maybe both. I'm thinking some nice salad. A lot of people wonder, what's the point of having poison berries in nature and all these things? Oh, wait, before I do that, let me show you something. The snakes like to hide under these tall ferns. These ones right here. This fern right here. They like to hide under those. Why? Because they're high, they're tall. See if you can see one here. See that? That's the stem. And the leaves are high, but the stems are bare. So it's almost like a canopy for them. Keeps the sun from directly hitting them. And again, they're cold-blooded animals, so they tend to stay out of the sun because it makes them tired, makes them lethargic, makes them just want to pass out. And a lot of these cold-blooded animals don't, they like to store their water to keep from dehydrating. Sorry, I just stopped because I just saw what looked like a fly pick up another fly from the ground and fly off with it. It's the weirdest thing. See a lot of things when I go on these walks. Today I saw that weird looking bug with a furry butt. I thought it was a firefly, but it's not. Fireflies have like that glow at night. That's so cool. Maybe I'll do a nighttime live so you can see them. But until I see some viewers, no way I can do it. I mean, it'd be for myself. It'd be kind of selfish. And then here, as you tell, look, a tree broke right there. There's another one that broke right there. Some people think lightning might have hit it, but I don't think so, because lightning would leave charred residue. This is just wind. These trees are not that healthy. And there's the cut up part of it. Somebody fell on the trail, so somebody came out here and chainsawed it out, so cut it out so that we can keep walking. As you can see, there's no char marks. There's no real bang. It's just a clean break. Like the wind must have pushed it and it was weak at that spot and just broke. That happens every day. Just go in any forest, you'll see them. Well, folks, this is it. I know it's 43 minutes, not 45, but I think I'm going to end it because I'm coming to the mouth of the road where I will be going straight home. I hope you've had a good day. And I wish you great mental health. I mean, there's nothing better than being healthy. Take care of yourself, and the rest of the world will come to you. And then we could, let me show you this to end the stream on. Buttercup flowers. I love those. Put your hand on it, and your hand turns yellow. Well, it's been a pleasure walking with you. We'll walk next time. This is Nature Boy signing off.